Hello, welcome to Wargamer. I'm your host, Rob. Today we're going to be looking at the top 5 regiments of renown for Age of Sigmar 4. It's currently November 2025, and these regiments of renown, the 5 that we've picked, are the most common ones that you see at events. But many people who are playing Age of Sigmar don't even really know about regiments of renown or really know much about how they work. So I'm going to be talking about that first so you can kind of get an idea of what they are. A regiment of renown is a special collection of units with some sort of additional special rule, and you pay points for the whole lot. A regiment of renown can be taken, or it says which armies it can be taken inside of. So there might be a regiment of renown that says it can be taken in all Chaos armies, apart from its home army normally. A good example would be if you have a Cities of Sigmar regiment of renown, it can't be taken in a Cities of Sigmar army, but it can be taken in all of the other order armies, as an example. So that's what a regiment of renown is. It's a collection of models that you pay points for as one, and then how you take them is you take them outside of their army book. Now, this is kind of interesting because it kind of feels like what GW really want you to do is you really want to go buy a cities book just so you can get the rules for a regiment of renown. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's the idea. Either way, this and also an army of renown. Army of renown is another way to play an army with special rules. Armies of renown cannot include regiments of renown. That's worth talking about. So if you ever do that, these two factors I've talked a lot are really great structural ways to run a game system. If I wanted to play Iron Jaws as an example, I could play them normally. I could also play them as an army of renown, or I can play them with bringing some Gits in as an example. This feels like a lot of options for me, but not loads of people have necessarily picked these up because the quality of the armies of renown especially been pretty low, and also the quality of the regiments of renown, or even the regiments of renown, have been pretty low as well. So what we're looking at are the ones that have really stood out because they're really good, and you normally have to play normally it's just more efficient to pay points for these units than it is to pay points for anything else in your army book. But if you do have any more questions about regiments of renown and how they work, let me know in the comments below, because these also get balance updates. They also get points updates, not as many. And I do feel like sometimes these are really fun hobby projects as well. They're quite inspired. Like some of them are especially good, like the new Hellsmiths of Ashut have just like a demon smith and like a big fighty monster, and they just walk around together. That's very cute. There's also a version of that for Gits as well. That's fun. My problem is I'm worried that they just randomly go away in 5th edition. So, like, I would like to see these kind of committed to as, like, eternal things, if that makes sense. So then I can spend a long time hobbying them, making them look really good. All right, that's the intro out of the way. That's everything I think you need to know about these regiments of renown. We're going to go look, and we're going to look at the top 5. So in 5th place, let's go look at our first one. So coming in at 5th place, we have the Regiment of Renown, Braggit's Bottle-Snatchaz. So this is a destruction themed regiment of renown, and it's gonna cost you 490 points. You could take like a Sons of Behemoth army, you could take this, you could take an Iron Jaws army, you could take this. Now this is a great army, this is a great regiment of renown if you'd like some more board presence, and also you want to bring some magical support, and if you want monsters to run around. If you don't know, and this is your first time watching, the Destruction faction, there are 4 factions in Age of Sigmar: Destruction, Order, Chaos, and Death. The Destruction faction is considered to be the one that's like most about having a fight, apart from Cruel Boys, I guess. They're most about having a fight, and so having big monsters run around smashing stuff is good, and because of that, Games Workshop gave the Destruction faction the single most cooked war scroll. It's not the most cooked, that's probably Bellacore. The single most just like unnecessary Mary Sue war scroll that we've ever seen in Kragnos, Destroyer of Worlds. A big monster, better than almost any other monster in the game in output, but most importantly has an ability to allow other destruction units wholly within 12 inches of it 3d6 charge. This is pretty important because as soon as you realize that other units can 3d6 charge, and Kragnos can 3d6 charge, all of a sudden you have an entire section of Age of Sigmar just 3d6 charging at you as fast as they can. Now, that's not always true, but when you see it, you want it. And this Regiment of Renown will also key into that pretty nicely. Also Gargants as well. Shout out to the Sons of Behemoth family. Okay, what happens? So you have some special rules for the Regiment of Renown. In this first one, the Regiment of Renown, you get the super secret tunnels. Pick a unit in this Regiment of Renown that has not been deployed, set up that unit in reserve in a super secret tunnel. It has now been deployed. Right, and you can do that with multiple units. And the reason you want to do that is because once per turn for the army in any movement phase, if the rabble-rouser in this Regiment of Renown is in a super secret tunnel, pick it to be the target. Set it up anywhere on the battlefield more than 9 inches from all enemy units. Then set up all other friendly units that are in a super secret tunnel within 3 inches of the target and more than 9 inches from all enemy units. So what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to take the units that are in this Regiment of Renown, which is, I probably should have said that at the start, a Gobblepalooza unit, a rabble-rouser hero, a unit of squig herd, 12 squig herd, and then a unit of 10 squig hoppers. So you can put them all in reserve, which means they're safe from shooting and alpha strikes and long bomb charges. And then you can emerge them from the board and drop them on objectives, do battle tactics. Obviously not on that turn. Most battle tactics don't let you do them on the turn you're set up, but it gives you the opportunity to do that, which is great. Also, it lets you do something incredibly fun with a rabble rouser, which we'll talk about in a minute. Now, you also get a special spell called Sneaky Distraction, which is cast in your hero phase, and it's a 7 to cast, so it's not super easy. Only the Gobblepalooza in this Regiment now can cast this spell because they're a level 1 wizard. Until the start of your next turn, you subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made by enemy units while they're wholly within 12 inches of the caster. Now, this is pretty good because you can have your Gobblepalooza behind a unit of brutes or gargants or whatever you might want to be, armies which maybe don't naturally have the opportunity to make it so that the opponent is -1 to hit. You see this a lot for Gloomspike Gitz, and they take the unit Drogs de Sunchomper because he has exactly the same ability, although it's not cast on it's not a spell, it's just an ability where you can make units -1 to hit. So he's a great unit to bring in to armies or to playing Gitz. This does the same thing. The Gobblepalooza is just going to stand, and they're going to just make it so that you're -1 to hit, which is good. Your characters are -1 to hit, a bunch of different stuff. Obviously, as long as the enemy is wholly within 12. So it's a really good spell. More impactful than maybe you would think. Okay, so let's talk about the Gobblepalooza, because this is a really interesting unit in that it's 5 models with 3 health each with a 6-up save. So you're like, okay, not very survivable. Apart from turn 1, they have a 4-up ward save. Battle round 1, they have a 4-up ward save. Battle round 2, a 5-up ward save. And then battle round 3, they have a 6-up ward save. So early on, they're amazing for screening, which is good. You can rally them because they're units of 3 models, so they're likely to be able to rally one of them back, which is a command ability to put either wounds or models back into a unit, which is really nice. And they're a level 1 wizard, so they can either cast Sneaky Distraction, which is a spell from earlier, or maybe even throw a manifestation out for your army as well. They've got like 1 attack each, 4 spores, rend 1 damage D3. I guess that's not nothing. It's kind of better than some combat heroes profiles. But they also have a no Watts roll, which is done in your hero phase on a 3+. You pick one of the following effects on a Gloomspike Gitz unit. So there's 2 for Gloomspike Gitz units. 1, add to run and charge rolls, which is pretty fun with Kragnos in an army. You'd also get 3d6 charge +1 to charge. Pretty fun. And then if you get nasty poisons, you can give a Gitz unit +1 to their Rend characteristic, or you can do Mesmerize, where you just throw the hand up in their face, mesmerize, and pick a visible enemy unit within 12 inches of this unit till the start of next turn. That unit cannot use commands. It's actually pretty good. Think about it. A unit that is going to be able to make it so you're -1 to hit via a spell, and then you turn off command abilities, so they charge in. They're not going to be able to get like +1 to hit because they can't use command ability. You charge in. If you mesmerize a unit, you charge in, and you've made it so they can't all-out defense. Pretty nice. They're a tanky screen that's able to take up quite a portion of the board. It's really good. Great for holding an objective as well. Their control value 2. So the Gobblepalooza is 10 control. Bigger than a monster for holding an objective. Again, excellent. Very, very cool. Now, on to the superstar, and the reason that this Regiment Renown, I think, gets picked a lot is the Rabble Rouser. So we'll ignore the damage the Rabble Rouser can do, and it's safe, because that's not the point, and we'll ignore the fact you can put it in Deep Strike, because the Regiment of Renown lets you put it in Deep Strike. What we will focus on is their ability that you can do once per turn in your movement phase. Na. You can't catch me. Where you pick a visible friendly monster or beast, right, and to be the target. And then for the rest of the turn, the target can use charge abilities, even if it used a run ability in the same turn. But each time it uses a move ability, it must send that move closer to this unit. In addition, for the rest of the turn, the first time this target ends a move within its unit's combat range, it inflicts D6 mortal damage on this unit. So you can do run and charge. So the fact that we can put this character into deep strike them somewhere near the enemy lines, then our fast monsters can get run and charge. Obviously, you can auto 6 that run with a command point. So you could be going, depending on which monster you're running, like 16 to 18 inches forward. And then you're going to be able to charge. If Kragnos is nearby, it's going to be a 3d6 charge. That's stupid fast. And is really fun. Now, obviously, this is a very expensive roster, like 490 points. So you could just have 2 monsters instead. You could replace this for another monster if you wanted to go with it. But this is really fun. And obviously, in a Kragnos style list, you can see this being just like run Kragnos. So now he's going 16, I think. And then 3d6 charging, hitting something. Very, very cool. Very cool. So that's the Rabble Rouser. Incredibly fun. And then the rest of the roster, you get a Squig Herd, which is just 12 models. They're okay. They can do some okay fighting. They can return some models back to the unit, but they are a beast unit, so they're not going to be super good for doing objectives. So they're going to be control value 1. We've got Squig Hoppers, which can move pretty fast, D6 plus 8 inches, and they can do some okay damage. It's a unit of 10. So you can do okay with them. Like, with +1 to hit, you're going to have like 9 damage against 4-up save. You're not going to be doing tons and tons with them. So it is an expensive regiment of renown, and really you've got to make sure you're also building other units in your army, like a Kragnos or a monster, to make this make a lot of sense. But you can see why Gargants would really like this. Have 3 Gargants, one of these. You get some board presence, even a screen out of the Gobblepalooza. You get that -1 to hit bubble where they all clump up and then -1 to hit. That makes them more of a challenge as well, which I think is good. So you can see why they would want that. You can see why Monster Mash lists would really want this to be something that they use as well. So this has been popular. Now, for destruction, I think it's worth shouting out a couple of other regiments of renown, which see play, but I haven't covered. So some honorable mentions, specifically the Hurtling Hogs, from the Iron Jaws roster, where you can take a bunch of pigs and you can run around. That's pretty good. And I think it also came down in price as well recently, or pretty recently, maybe it was last year. So that's also a great one. There's also the Sunstealer Wheeler, ROR as well, which also gives you a lot of cheap units that can run around and do some jobs similar. But this one to me is the most fun. Like, this is the most fun one to me that you can play in Destruction. And it changes your serious list into a super fun kind of club list where you're having a great time. So I like this one a lot. In 4th place, the regiment renown we're going to look at is the Curse Seal Battery. Now, this is fairly new and hasn't necessarily made it to lots of lists yet, but it absolutely will in the future. So I just thought maybe as a stocking filler, as an idea for Christmas, or to improve your gaming for next year, you could think about running this. Curse Steel Battery is 340 points, and you get a Demon Smith from the Hellsmiths of Ashut, the Deathstreaker Rocket Battery, and also the Tormentor Bombard. What's frustrating, if you're a Hellsmiths of Ashut player, is this is technically better than playing as Hellsmiths of Ashut with those 3 models. And I'll kind of get into why in a moment. You can obviously take this in all the Chaos factions, which is good. One of the downsides, thank you to the chat for pointing this out, is that you can't take this in Destruction, which I would have liked to have seen. And the reason I would like to have seen that is we already know that they sell those Hong bots out to the Cruel Boys, and they armor them up. So it would make sense that they would do some, work for them as well, but they haven't. Maybe they're not as mercantile as the KO. Okay, so you get the Demon Smith and 2 artillery pieces, and you get some special rules for these. So the first one is you get the Display of Total Power, which is a command point, which you can use in your shooting phase. The first time you do this in a game, it's free. Every time after that, it's 1 command point. And if neither War Machine shot, so basically before you shoot either of them, you spend the command point, and then for the rest of the turn, while that enemy unit is on the battlefield, the War Machine units in this regiment of renown can only pick 1 enemy unit, or that enemy unit, to be the target of their shooting attacks. Each of those War Machines counts as if it had 3 demonic power points. This is massive because getting three demonic power points on your units for Hellsmiths of Ashut is actually really, really hard. You have to go and desolate terrain. You have to spend command points yourself. I feel like if you were to talk to a Hellsmiths player and like, if you could spend a command point and give 2 units 3, would you do it? And they're like, every time. That would be so good. So this is just much better than actually running them in Hellsmiths. You also get a spell called Reinforced Demon Steel, where the Demon Smith in this Regiment Renown can cast a spell. It's cast on a 7. And until the start of next turn, you ignore the first damage point allocated to each friendly Hellsmiths of Ashut unit in each phase while holding within 12 inches of the caster. Now, that might not sound like a lot, but when we look at the Demon Smith in a minute, you also, for the Demon Smith, can heal D3 in each one of your hero phases to the War Machines, which means you're looking at ignoring a pip of damage every turn, every phase, and also healing D3 every hero phase. That doesn't include things like rally. These things will not really chip down. Like, little chip damage won't be enough to shut them down. You're going to have to lock them in combat. You're going to have to like just kill them outright. So that's quite a strong mechanic. If you take a look at the Demon Smith is just a level 1 wizard with, you know, a bad combat profile like they all do, but has got 6 health, which is nice, and a 4-up save. So if you wanted to bring a wizard into your army, this is also a way to bring a wizard into your army, which is pretty good. And you know, for manifestations or whatever you might want to bring. And as I said, they've got this ability, Molten Mending, in your hero phase, where if you're within 6 inches of, wholly within 6 inches of some War Machines, you can heal them D3. In the Hellsmith's book, you could heal them for more at a bigger range, but you don't have the demonic power points to do them. So there you go. So that's the Demon Smith. He's just there to buff these pieces. And then you've got 2 artillery pieces. And obviously this is so good if you're playing like Nurgle, as an example, and you want some long-range threats. You've already got really good centerboard presence army. You've got strong combat pieces, good objective control, board presence. You've got a lot of things going for you as Nurgle, and then just being, but you don't have something that like increases tempo. Tempo is something we used to just like talk about in games where I want you to have to move faster. I don't want you to be able to just sit back. And the way I can increase the tempo of our game is I can just shoot you, and you're like, well, I can't just keep getting shot all the time. I need to try and run around. Also great, like, if they've just got like a little 5-person unit holding an objective, or even just 1 hero holding an objective, and you shoot them off, that's pretty good as well. They'll still hold the objective, but it means you can just run something on as well, even a beast unit, and take it. So there's a lot here. So Deathstreaker Rocket Battery has got, is a War Machine. Both War Machines have got 8 health and a 3-up save. Ignoring the first pip of damage every phase, potentially healing a D3 each hero phase. That's a lot of healing. That's pretty good. Very difficult to get rid of. They're also great for being a backfield camper. They can just stand on your back objective while everything else runs forward. The Deathstreaker Rocket Battery has got a range 24. It shoots 3 shots, which hit on 4s, wound on 2s, a Ren 2, but is D3 plus 2 damage. So potentially, you've got 15 damage from the Deathstreaker Rocket Battery. 15 damage, which is against a monster or a War Machine, is going to go up to Ren 4. And it's actually perfect anti-Hellsmiths of Ashut technology, because their big monsters are both monsters and War Machines. So you're going to be able to do tons of damage to them for no real reason. So yeah, Ren 4 up on those guys. But either way, shooting into monsters, you're going to be Ren 3, so they're not going to get much of a save. So you can do a lot of damage. Again, this is quite a cheap Regiment of Renown. But they also have their own special abilities. The first one, Hungering Flames, in your shooting phase. For the rest of the turn, the damage characteristic of this unit's rockets is 5 if the target is a monster or a War Machine. So now you've just got to hit and wound, and that monster is potentially taking 15 damage. And then you've got a reaction to you declaring a shoot ability for this unit, and all of its attacks target the same enemy unit. The effect is you roll a number of dice equal to the number of demonic power points this unit has for each other enemy unit within the combat range of the target for this unit's shooting attack, and for each 3+, you inflict 1 mortal damage on the unit being rolled for. And obviously, you can spend a CP to get all of the additional demonic power points on these. They can have up to 3, so they can be doing up to 3 mortals. So that's pretty good. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. Great. Anti-monster tech in here, solid, but that's not all you get, because you also get the Tormentor Bombard, which has got 8 health, 3-up save, so it's super survivable as well, and it's got the Torrent of Ruinous Energy. That's its missile weapon, which is a 30-inch shooting attack with 4 attacks, hit on 3s, wound on 3s, rend 1, damage D3. It's got anti-cavalry, it's got anti-infantry. So you can be rend 2 against some infantry, which is pretty nice, and it's just dumping some damage at range. And then it's got a passive where you add 1 to the hit rolls for shooting attacks if that target unit has 5 or more models that is more than 12 inches from this unit. So now you can just be naturally hitting on 2s, wounding on 3s, and then obviously if you're shooting an infantry unit, it can be rend 2, or a cavalry unit, you're going to be rend 2. So that's not nothing. That's quite a bit. But the really great piece, a really great thing about this piece is it's the tech that you get with it, because you get the Ruinous Bombard ability in your shooting phase. If this unit uses shoot ability this turn and all of its attacks target the same unit, then you can pick a number of enemy units within 6 equal to the number of demonic power points. And that can be 3. And then roll a dice for each target. On a 3+, that unit cannot use commands until the start of next turn. That's great. Like, so many things you could do. You could turn off rally, shoot a monster, shoot a unit near a monster, and then turn off its ability to rally. So it's now just like stuck, not being able to rally, which is good. Turn off all-out defense, turn off redeploy, turn off a bunch of different things. Although this will be in the shooting phase, so it'll be after redeploy. But turn off a bunch of commands. And because you get 3 demonic power points, it's 3 units, which is super good. So just super strong. So overall, an incredibly punchy Regiment of Renown that does a lot of damage and also does a lot of tech for quite cheap, 340 points. You know, what are you looking at here? You're looking at 18, 22 health, 22 health, kind of, that you're buying in for 340 points. You get 2 great missile weapons, you get a wizard, and then, pretty decent. So overall, this is really good. And I expect to see this a lot going forward next year, because it's just going to really impact and benefit Chaos armies. Other notable shout-outs, obviously, is to the Khorne AOR, and that is where you can take just Skarbrand running around. That is obviously a really good one, and you can just have a big monster running and smashing stuff. That's also really good as well. Our next Regiment of Renown is maybe the most popular one that we have seen recently. The Skyport Propheteers for 320 points is a Caradhran Overlords a Regiment of Renown. It contains a Code Right and 2 units of Gunstruck Thunderers. And you can take this in any of the Order armies, obviously apart from Caradhran Overlords. And you can also take in Ogres for Destruction, and also OBR, so Ossiarch Bone Reapers and Soulblight for the Death Grand Alliance. So quite a lot of options here. And these have been made really popular because of the ability to teleport infantry and do some fighting, as well as having some shooting. Okay, so let's talk about the abilities that you get first. The first abilities you get, well, there are 3 abilities, and they all cost a command point. The first one, in your hero phase, it costs you a CP, obviously, and it's called Supplies Don't Come Cheap. You pick a visible terrain feature within 18 inches of the Code Right in this Regiment of Renown. Each friendly unit within 3 inches of that terrain feature is a target. Roll a d3 for each target. On a 2+, you can heal X, where X is equal to the roll. Now, that's not bad. If you are clumped around your own piece of terrain, you want to do a bunch of healing, this works. It's expensive, but it gives you the opportunity. Also, obviously, stack this with other healing. If you're running Ossiarchs or Soulblight Gravelords, that's additional healing into your army, which is pretty spicy. But there we go. Now, the big one. No one rides for free. This is done in your movement phase, and it costs a command point. Importantly, it's not at the start of your movement phase or the end of your movement phase. Normally, almost all movement phase abilities, or almost any ability in any phase, can be done at any point you want them to be done. This means, I'll talk about it. So cost a command point, pick a friendly infantry unit with up to 10 models that is wholly within 9 inches of the Code Right in this regiment and not in combat to be the target. Remove the target from the battlefield and then set it up again on the battlefield more than 9 inches from enemy units. So it's basically a 1 command point teleport anywhere on the battlefield, which is really good. You have to be in range of the Code Right. You could run the Code Right, which is why I talked about you could do them in any order you want. You could run the Code Right, then do the teleport, which is good. So you can grab a unit your opponent wasn't expecting and then teleport away. And obviously, because it's an infantry unit with 10 models, you can't fire a massive brick, but you can fire a bunch of elite units across the board, which is really, really fun. So like Morghast Harbingers was a good example, or Archai, whichever one, for OCR Bone Reapers is a good example. We saw it played just this weekend that we saw a 4-1 with a bunch of Seraphon units being teleported around the board because, I don't know if you know this, but Croxical are infantry as well. So there's a bunch of options for what you can teleport, but it gives armies that don't have a teleport, which is pretty nice. And there's also a other ability called Long Range Support, which in your shooting phase, and it costs a command point, you can pick an objective within 15 inches of the code right in this Regiment of Renown, and that no friendly units are contesting. Each unit contesting that objective is a target. Roll dice for each target. If the roll exceeds their target's health characteristic, inflict an amount of mortal damage on the target equal to the roll. It costs a CP. The reason you're bringing this in is because you're bringing them in no one rides for free. But long range support has the potential to snipe a character, do something really powerful at some point, and that's what you want. So it's a nice option, but I feel like the real reason you've got this unit is for this ability, no one rides for free, and also what the Thunderers do. Okay, so the Code Right. Code Right is a 5 health, 3 up save dude. He's not a wizard and not a priest, but thankfully this is quite a cheap regiment. It's only 320 points. But you do have an ability called Advisory Roll, which you do in your hero phase, where you pick up to 3 visible friendly Skyfarer units. So it's just going to be him and the 2 Thunderer units. And then you roll a dice for each target. On a 3+, you can pick one of the following effects. So you can do Seek New Prospects, which adds 5 to the target's control score. So if you wanted to, you can have 3 units with +5 to their control score. So +15 in total in your army for like holding your back objectives early, maybe holding a piece of terrain, whatever you want them to do. You got another one, which is add 1 to run rolls and charge rolls, which is probably not what you're going to do with a shooting unit. The last one, there's no trading with some people. The target can use a retreat ability and still use the shoot ability later in the turn. In addition, no mortal damage is done when you retreat, because normally you take D3 mortals. Now, this is obviously good for the Thunderers, because later in the game, someone might tag them, might get them in combat, and you want them to shoot. And most of their shooting is not shooting combat, so you want to be retreating with this, and then you want to be able to shoot, which is good. Now, the shooting on the Thunderers is medium to rubbish. 18-inch range on the Aether shot rifles and the Aether cannons. It's not that impressive. But the reason that you are really excited about having the Thunderers in your army is because of their specialist ammunition, where once per turn for the army, so only 1 unit, you declare a shoot ability for this. Now, it's quite wordy, but effectively what you can do is you add the amount of damage points you've allocated to a unit, then you roll a dice, and then you see if it's higher than the control characteristic. So there's a difference between control score, which is the total of your characteristic, plus any bonuses. So you've got 10 models with control characteristic 1, then that is going to be a control score of 10. So control characteristic is normally very, very low. Monsters are a 5, as an example. So you roll a dice, and then you roll how many damage points you've done. And then if it's higher than the control characteristic, so if it's an infantry unit with only a control characteristic of 1, it's just going to be a 2+. If you do 1 damage, it's going to be automatic. Then you can do one of 2 abilities. You can do Shield Breaker, which is the one you're going to do, where ward rolls cannot be made for the target until the start of your next turn. Or Thunderack, where the target has a maximum control score of 1 until the start of your next turn. So that one could come in clutch at some point. Genuinely, you might be like, that one, I need that. I want the control characteristic to be super low. I want to go grab that objective they weren't expecting. But obviously, ward rolls is so key. Just pick a unit. That unit hasn't got ward saves. Oh, I've also teleported a really killer unit near them. I'm going to charge in, do some fighting. Good luck to everybody. This is a disaster. So this is why this has become so popular. And it's also popular because it can be taken in lots of different factions. So you've got turn off wards, you've got teleport. Insanely good. Both of those are really effective, and this is why it's been so popular. Our next Regiment of Renown is the Godsmark Ascendant. This is 260 points for 1 Demon Prince. Now, you can take this in one of 4 different armies. You can take this in Blazing Corn, Disciples of Maggotkin, Nurgle, and Hedonites of Sinesh. So let's talk about that first. If you do take one of these, then you immediately get those keywords, which means you can use artifacts because it's a hero. You can use like command traits, or heroic traits. Sorry, you can use heroic traits. You can use spells, prayers. If you're a priest or a wizard, you can benefit from spells, prayers. You get the keyword bingo, and it adds it to your unit. So it does mean that you have what is pretty effective as a pretty effective unit, and you can effectively kit bash it into 4 different armies. You also get a passive, the Gifts of Chaos, where if this unit has the Blades of Corn keyword, you add one to the attack's characteristic of its weapon. And they also have the Blood Hungry Weapon ability, which is Blades of Corn special rule. If this is Disciples of Tzeentch, then you get a Wizard 1, so you get a free Wizarding level, which is worth 100 points. It's worth pointing out. It's worth at least 100 points, so that's not bad. If you're Nurgle, you get a 5-up ward save. You already have a 6-up ward save, so that's not super good, but it's okay. And if this unit is Sinesh, you get +1 to run rolls and charge rolls. Obviously, the worst one. As always, Sinesh only ever get the worst ones. Okay. So take a look at the actual Demon Prince, right? It moves 8 inches unless you give it wings. You get the choice, actually, I should say that. You get either the wings or the trophy rack. The wings give you +2 inches of movement, but they also give you the fly keyword. This is probably a negative because right now in Age of Sigmar 4, there is a lot of terrain, and that terrain is obscuring. Unless you're flying or unless you're a monster. So if you give them wings, they can be shot and targeted with spells and a bunch of other stuff. So what you'd want to do is not give them wings, just take the fact that you lose 2 inches of movement, and now all of a sudden you have this lurking monster hiding in obscure terrain, ready to jump out and murder you. So the Hellforged weapons has got 6 attacks with crit mortals, which is crazy, and they have 3 damage each, and they hit on 3s and they wound on 3s, and they've got rend 1. And obviously different armies, you can take a bunch of different stuff, like you could take Argath, King of Blades, like no ward saves in Khorne as an example. So you've got a bunch of different ways that you can maybe improve this for different armies. If you are taking Khorne as an example, this is going to go up to 7 attacks, damage 3. This is just better than other units you can find in the rosters, and that's why you see play. But you've also got a couple of other abilities. In any combat phase, you roll a die, so every combat phase. On a 4+, this unit has strike first for the rest of the turn. Pretty good in my opinion. Like a lot of Demon Princes, like you charge me 4+, I'm going to hit you. I charge you 4+, I'm also going to strike first, and I've got another unit that's going to get to strike in the strike normal step. Super effective. And then also, if you don't take the wings and you take the trophy rack, then you get the Hellforged weapons also have anti-hero +1 rend. So if you're fighting a hero, like a monster hero or something or whatever, you're going to be rend 2 with crit mortals. So the reason that this is taken is because it's just a great base profile, which you can also add a ton of stuff onto as well, which is quite cool for Demon Princes. It's this nice generic character. It fits in with the lore really well. It's super cool. I'd like to see units like this for other rosters or other Grand Alliances. That would be fun. But the Demon Prince is unique, both narratively and also kind of like mechanically, and it's super cool. Great model. On to the #1 Regiment of Renown, and it's been the #1 Regiment of Renown since the game launched. In fact, there's another video I made last year. Go check it out. And ladies and gentlemen, this thing, Callous and Toll, these guys are cooked. 290 points. You can buy this as a box. You can take this in all the Order factions, and apart from Cities of Sigmar, and it's crazy. You get Callous and Toll, which is a 2-model unit, and then you get the Toll's Companions, which is a 4-model unit. Let's look at the special rules first. You got Sigmar's Justice. Pick an enemy unit to be marked for justice. You can pick a unit that is in reserve. For the rest of the battle, you add 1 to the wound rolls for combat attacks made by units in this Regiment of Renown that target a unit that is marked for justice. +1 to wound is great. And then you've also got a passive Duty Bound, which is insane. While every model in the same unit in the Regiment of Renown is contesting the same objective, add 1 to save rolls and ward rolls for the unit. Between both units, that will give you 10 health on a 3-up armor save and a 4-up ward save, and then 12 health on a 3-up armor save and a 4-up ward save. Insane. Now let's talk about Callous and Toll first, and also those are also rallyable wounds. Those are wounds that can return. There's wounds you can bring back with things like rally. So Callous and Toll, each model has got 5 health on a 4-up save, and they have a 5-up ward save or a 4-up ward save. They control value 2. Now they have a passive, we should look at this before we look at their abilities or their attacks, called the Right Tools for the Job, where you double the damage characteristic of this unit's weapons for attacks that target wizards, priests, and manifestations. Double the damage, and that is both ranged and melee. So that means the flintlock pistols become damage 2, and you've got 3 shots, 6 attacks from the squad. but these become damage 2. And then you've got the Azurite Blades, which is 4 attacks, 8 attacks from the squad, which are damage 2, so they become damage 4 against these. So 4 attacks, damage 4 is pretty gnarly and quite aggressive. But you also have a couple of other special abilities where you've got a fight ability as a reaction where you can fight the Toll's companions immediately after. That's called a simultaneous fight ability. And then they've got a passive, Wily to the last. If this unit has 2 models and would be automatically destroyed, then only one of those models is destroyed. What's interesting and also fun as well is while with 5 health, they're also rallyable if that is unlikely. If one of these models does die, you can roll your 6 rally dice, and if you do bang 5 4-ups, you can bring one of these back, which is just devastating in my opinion. Incredibly difficult to kill, incredibly difficult to get rid of, and they do some crazy damage against the right units, but they also get better because you can put them into deep strike. In the deployment phase, you can use hidden agents, and you can deploy both Toll's companions and also Callus and Toll into reserve. So this gives you just a deep strike, a bunch of heroes to go do some murder. And then when you set them up within 9 inches, you set them up 9 inches away from the enemy, within 6 inches of each other, always 9 inches away from all enemy units, so you can do a big charge. And then you've also got another passive. While this unit is within combat range of a unit of Callus and Toll, you get a 5-up ward save. So that 5-up ward save obviously goes to a 4-up ward save. So these guys can drop onto an objective in your opponent's back lines and be like, can you kill 22 health on a 3-up, 4-up? And the answer is probably not. Probably not. That's insane. I don't think I can. And as we've seen proven across almost all Order armies, this has taken so much as a regiment of renown. It's taken so much, and people use it so much. But it is cool. It is really cool. Its effectiveness is also as driven as its narrative, right? You've got a couple of witch hunters and their companions from a city. They're these kind of RPG style legendary heroes that you see in a band, like battling against gods and monsters. It's quite fun from that perspective. It's genuinely very cool. And if you did see it as that, like a little RPG group going out to battle, it makes a lot of sense. But they are crazy cooked compared to other stuff in the game. So those are the top 5 regiments of renown, the conclusion, in my opinion. There are other ones, and if you do have opinions on the other ones that you think are really good, please do drop them in the comments below so I can kind of take that on board, and maybe I'll cover those in the future and we could talk about those. I started out the video being super pumped because I actually like the Regiment of Renown system. I think it's really good. There are 31 regiments of renown currently playable in Age of Sigmar 4. I accidentally kind of blackpilled myself where I was like, oh, maybe they're doing it so you have to buy another book and find out 3 war scrolls for that. And then I was like, that is why they've done it. But if we ignore that, it's a great system for delivering other units into your army, which is quite cool. And I wouldn't mind more boxes like Callus and Toll, not as broken as Callus and Toll, but like Callus and Toll to be released. These kind of narrative warbands that are usable as these regiments of renown and can see play. And last Christmas, and I'm hoping for this Christmas coming up, we did see a bunch of other regiments of renown that were released, including the Nurgle, the one where you kill something and Nurglings pop out. That was a great one. And it was takeable by all armies, and it was very cool. I thought that was really fun. So I wouldn't mind seeing more of that in the future. Yeah, that would just be really funky. I'd love to see more of that in the future, and these boxes. And I like the system. I really like the Army of Renown system. I really like the Regiment of Renown system. I think it's great. I just feel like they've missed the mark on some of them, or actually most of them. They've missed the Armies of Renown. I feel they've missed the mark on most. Regiments of Renown, I think they're doing a little bit better, but still sometimes not really sure, which is weird because if they made it really good, you would improve list writing, you would improve how much hobby people could do, and you also would improve sales, right? Which I think is kind of odd. Anyway, let me know what your thoughts are about the system, about these 5, about any of these things in the comments below. I'm always interested. As always, thank you to my patrons. Here's a shout out. There should be an image now, doing a shout out to all the people on Patreon who help support me. You can join us. We've got a Discord community. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye.